Good morning. Good morning. Back at it. Um, there's supposed to be a press conference happening too. Let me confirm the time real quick. I thought this said 11 Eastern. Let me see. You know, 11 a.m. Eastern. Press conference on the New Orleans attack. Oh, and by the way, the 15 death toll, it's 14 victims plus the suspect. So 14 people he killed plus the suspect. Good morning, rise and shine. We were up late last night. I'm still kind of like, my sleep has been horrible the last couple of days. There was this shooting in a nightclub in New York, Queens, Jamaica, Queens. And hey, Herbear. And they still haven't caught those people, by the way. If you were here with us late last night, they haven't caught those people. They're still on the loose. You know, they say they indiscriminately shot a bunch of people outside of the club. I don't know. And on the right bottom side, that's live footage. New Orleans. All right. And I got a couple of clips. I didn't really get to organize it like I normally like to because I woke up today and I was kind of like orienting myself. And I thought I was going to come on a little later, but we're here early. But I wanted to play a couple of clips for you guys.
Yo, this dude was in my unit. For the ones that follow me,
this guy was with the New Orleans person, Shamsud Din Jabbar. He said he was in the military.
You know that I'm an Army veteran. In my time in service, I did 4 years at Fort Richardson, Alaska. During my 4 years there as a combat medic, we did 2 deployments to Afghanistan. In 2009 to 2010, and 2010 to 2011. We conducted missions in both Paktika and Paktia province. This here's a picture of me in 2009. This here's my comeback medic badge, and this is my comeback action badge, both that were awarded to me during my deployment. But why am I bringing all this up? I woke up this morning, the first thing I see on the news is this tragic event that took place in New Orleans this morning, where a man drove his truck through a crowd of people, unaliving 10 people, seriously injuring 30 other people, including 2 police officers. As I'm covering the story, reports are saying that the man was in military-style gear, had an ISIS flag, an AK-47 style weapon was found in his vicinity. Then the story develops that they found an improvised explosive device on the scene and also a few other suspected improvised explosive devices near the area. But then as I'm gathering more information, I learned the identity of the suspect as being a 42-year-old resident of Texas. And then they released his name as Shamsud Din Jabbar. And then they released his picture here. And then I find this video.
I just want to say hello and let you know a little bit about it.
And as I'm watching that video, I hear this man's voice and it clicks. We were stationed together. We were at the same duty station together. We deployed together. When I tell you that I am completely mind blown, like if you would have met this guy back in the day when I knew him, he was just, this is crazy. Like I'm at a loss for words. Like I'm really at a loss for words right now. Like you think you know people. I've reached out to some of my battle buddies from that unit. I'm trying to get some more information on the guy.
What does it say here? It says, it's him, my platoon. Said he worked in the S1 shop. I need to find a younger photo of him. I tried to ask, but he didn't answer, just confirmed he was S1. Holy ish.
Trying to get some more information on the guy, and I'll try to keep you guys updated. If you would, like, follow, and share. Leave a comment. Stay engaged. I'll give you the updates as we go along. Y'all have a great day.
Okay. And I pulled up his TikTok because I wanted to see the other videos that he has on there related to this stuff. So we're going to take a look at that. But they're saying that, this was posted 30 minutes ago, authorities investigate possible links between the New Orleans attack and the Las Vegas explosion. Both of these guys were in the military. This guy, let me see if I have it here. The guy that was responsible allegedly for this attack, the CyberTruck attack. His name is Matthew Livelsberg. Hillsborough. And homeboy blew himself up at the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. He was in Afghanistan for several stints. He was a member of the U.S. Army for the last 19 years. His wife, Sarah, posted many anti-Trump memes in Facebook through the years. Interesting. They were so violent. 19 years, U.S. Army, hyper spectral imaging integrator. Local soldier helping out Afghan kids. Have they become radicalized? What's going on? I guess that's him right there. CyberTruck. What is going on? If it would be odd if the New Orleans attack and Cybertruck explosion weren't connected, security expert says. Let's take a look at this.
Secretary of Defense for the Bush administration in 2005. Coley, good morning to you. Thank you so much. Just for starters here, talk to me about the magnitude of this investigation. I mean, the FBI doesn't think this guy acted alone. They're looking across several different states. And also, when was the last time an act of terror delayed a major sporting event?
Yeah.
Well, good morning, Mark, and Happy New Year to you. I don't think we know yet. We know what we've seen. We've seen what we've seen in New Orleans and with the Cybertruck. They may or may not be connected. It'd be odd if they weren't connected. It'd be scarier if they were connected. And we know from what the FBI tells us now that there are other associates out there. We know that there are IDs out there. And we know that this guy in New Orleans was inspired by ISIS. We also, I think, can assume that because of the notice that the intelligence agencies put out in early December, talking about mass casualty events in the Christmas holiday season and the threat of lone actors, including, Markey, in that notice, the possibility that they would use a vehicle to mow down people, that there's other things out there that we don't know because it's classified. And so the government knows more than they're telling us. We don't need to know everything, but there's a lot more to this story.
Yeah, I mean, just evil, what we watched take place first thing yesterday morning, Coley. And talk to me about that, because we've now learned a lot more about this terrorist. I mean, he was enlisted in the Army for many years, deployed to Afghanistan. Coley, how in the world do you go from being military, the most selfless act of service, to plowing over innocent people and being radicalized by ISIS? It doesn't make sense.
Well, we've seen this movie before, haven't we, Marky? I mean, we've seen the Fort Hood shooter, Hassan, we've seen Bradley Manning, and we've seen other people who, you know, served in the military, which is obviously an honorable service. You can see my dad's uniform behind me and my grandfather's uniform over here, and I served in the Navy. I mean, military service is honorable. But ISIS and other affiliates prey on people who tend to be despondent or weak, or have other type of vulnerabilities. They recruit them, and there's going to be a lot more to this guy's psychological profile and personal profile that we'll learn in the coming days and weeks, such that he was drawn in for some reason and then took the dastardly steps he took. So these threats are real. ISIS is not going away. It was going away at the end of the Trump administration, but then with this precipitous withdrawal from Afghanistan and this weakness on the world stage in this current administration, ISIS has rebranded and reconstituted itself. And so we probably have folks in this country, according to what the open sources say, so we need to be vigilant.
And so moving forward, Coley, I mean, how do you stop something like this? We heard from city officials yesterday they had 300 officers there in the French Quarter to beef up security for New Year's Eve celebrations. You know, and he still managed to get around to whatever barriers were in place there. But if that doesn't stop carnage like this, then what does?
Well, you can't prevent 100% of things, Marky. And so, you know, if you read that notice in December the 6th that came out earlier at the end of last year, it talks about soft targets. I mean, nothing prevents a person from walking down the street in a large setting and shooting people. Nothing prevents somebody from driving their vehicle into a crowd of people. Nothing, there's no amount of protective things we can do to do that. Now, we'll see in the after action report whether those metal barriers were lifted or for some reason they weren't up. But you can't completely harden this country. We're a free country. We enjoy our liberties. We have a constitution. You can't prevent 100% of these things. But I think on the back end, intelligence, following up on tips, incapacitating people when you have probable cause to believe they committed a crime or about to commit a crime. So there's a front end and a back end, but we can't become a fortress. We're still America.
Just unfathomable tragedy yesterday. Coley Stimson, I really appreciate your time this morning. Happy New Year to you, and thank you for your service. Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks, Mark. Happy New Year to you.
And thanks for watching, everybody. Go to
Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Terror attack. The CyberTruck bomber, his name is Matthew Livesberg. I'm going to update the thumbnail in a second, have his image in there, but he's a long-serving married soldier. What in the hell? What is going on? If you guys could help me out with the like button, share the video out if you want, subscribe if you're not. The soldier who was on leave from active duty when he carried out the attack outside of Donald Trump's Las Vegas hotel. It's been revealed. 37 years old, identified by law enforcement as the bomber who died in Wednesday's attack. He left 7 wounded. The windows of Trump's Vegas hotel were not even phased. He blew himself up in some spectacular fireworks show. And I guess he saw himself as a martyr, and he felt he had a cause, and he felt he was going to send the world a message. And all he did was just blow himself up and sent a little light show for everybody, and that was it. I think I started to think that like maybe he probably purposely picked, a CyberTruck. Maybe he wanted to send a message to Elon. The electric vehicle exploded about 15 seconds after the driver pulled up in front of the hotel's valet. The blast caused by a bomb carried in the bed of the rented CyberTruck, or very large fireworks, according to Tesla's Elon Musk. He lived in Colorado Springs, was an active member of the Army, and previously received the Meritus Honor Award for work benefiting the U.S. Embassy in Tajikistan. So he grew up in Ohio, was married to social worker Sarah Levisberg. When the lead up to the 2016 election, shared a slew of Facebook posts spouting anti-Trump rhetoric. Some of these people, they lose their minds over Trump. People willing to kill, bomb, rape, all kinds of stuff to prove. I don't like Trump, so I want to kill people or whatever. Some of these people really have mental problems, Joe. They lose their minds and themselves. According to CBS News, Livesberg was on a break from duty in Germany when he carried out the attack. He lived with his wife, who hadn't heard from him in several days, in Colorado Springs, in a home they bought together in 2015. Property records found. However, police have linked Livesberg to several addresses throughout the city, including a different townhouse that was raided by the FBI overnight. Wow. Wow. What is going on? 2025. 2025. And the New Orleans attack, Shamsud bin Jabbar, they said that this guy went through, we talked about this yesterday, went through divorce and an economic crisis, born and raised in Texas, climbed the corporate ladder after being dishonorably charged for the military. He served as human resources and information technology and spent 11 months in Afghanistan. Both of them were in Afghanistan, it seems like. He went to study computer information systems at Georgia State University, held a job at IT, and gave real estate a try before returning back to Texas in 2018, starting a job as a cloud consulting manager for Ernst & Young. According to a pay stub shown in court, he made the equivalent of nearly $125,000 a year. but Jabbar seemed to crack after his second divorce in 2020 when his then wife of 3 years, Shaneen Chanti, got a restraining order against his crazy ass. Time is of the essence. I cannot afford the house payment. It's past due in excess of $27,000. Wow. If we delay settling the divorce, Jabbar wrote in an email to his then wife's lawyer in 2022. Jabbar claimed he broke at the time, telling the court he had a net monthly income of $7,500, but monthly expenses were $8,960. Wow. He also said the real estate company he formed had lost more than $28,000 in the previous year and had taken on $16,000 in credit card debt. So he was stressed. At some point over the last years, Jabbar converted to Islam, a religion of peace and love, and became increasingly devout. Peace and love. Wow.
In Houston with more on the suspect, Shamsud Jabbar. Xavier,
Jabbar.
the FBI is now zeroing in on Jabbar's home. Have they found anything yet?
No, that's not working.
Hey, Marky, good morning. Not at least that they've been able to tell us, but as you can see, the neighborhood going back to that property is just over there. This has been blocked off, and then there's another side that's been blocked off. Going on more than 12 hours now. When we got here yesterday, noticed we couldn't get back into the neighborhood, but here's what we know about Shamsud Jabbar. A little bit more information. Obviously, we've said he's an American citizen born in Beaumont, Texas. That's about 90 miles east of Houston, where he was currently living. Limited criminal history, misdemeanor theft, driving with an invalid license. Jabbar, as Alex mentioned earlier, served in the U.S. Army on active duty from 2006 to 2015, then Army Reserves from 2015 to 2020 before being honorably discharged. After that, though, he did get into real estate, where Jabbar reportedly struggled, losing tens of thousands of dollars. Here's the white truck the FBI says Jabbar rented from the Houston area, drove to New Orleans. Authorities have repeatedly said they found a black Islamic ISIS flag on the back of that vehicle he used as a weapon on New Year's Day. The New York Times reporting Jabbar converted to Islam and then in recent months had been acting erratically after he did so. The Times also spoke to the man married to Jabbar's now ex-wife and mother of his 2 children, his 2 kids. That gentleman saying Jabbar was no longer allowed to see his daughters because of his erratic behavior. So obviously this neighborhood's still blocked off. We can't get inside, but we're hoping to, once police leave the scene, these are local authorities just behind us, to hopefully get back there and talk to some people who may have seen him come and go, who maybe knew him, to kind of glean more of what he was like. Also, you know, they're not just following authorities, not just following his physical footprint, his digital one as well, trying to figure out what he was doing online as well, Marky.
Yeah, and how you go from serving on the front line of our military to becoming this maniacally radicalized. Something just doesn't make sense. Xavier Walton, thank you so much. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com.
Okay. Well, I wanted to play a little bit of this too while we wait for the press conference. We've got an hour to wait. Authorities investigate possible links between New Orleans attack and Las Vegas explosion.
Morning, federal officials are calling it a deliberate act of terror as the FBI is conducting searches across multiple states. 15 people are dead, many more injured after a man plowed his truck through crowded New Orleans streets just after the new year.
Jukebox, thank you for the membership. And Alan Thrifts, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. Hey! Thank you.
3 major questions this morning. Were there any accomplices? Was this attack tied to the CyberTruck explosion outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas? There are notable similarities. Was this attack actually directed by ISIS or just inspired by the terror group? Just a short time ago, we learned the New Orleans attacker pleaded guilty to DUI charges in 2015, and police shared new details about a series of videos he allegedly recorded, one of which includes a pledge to ISIS. This morning, we're also learning more about the victims as witnesses now describe what they saw.
We heard the gunshots and everyone started running, and then they ended up locking us in the building and they shut all the doors, told us to get down. And when we came outside, that's when we saw the truck that was crashed right outside where we were at. and we saw the first responders trying to save a young man, and they were working on him for so long, and we were just hoping and praying he was going to survive, but there was no life in him at all.
Now to the Tesla CyberTruck explosion in Las Vegas, just outside the doors of a Trump International hotel there. Surveillance video showing the powerful blast. Authorities are still trying to figure out if that was an act of terror or, as John mentioned, somehow linked to the attack in New Orleans. CNN's Veronica Miracle has more on that story.
Our John Miller is telling us he has spoken to multiple law enforcement officials who say that the driver of the Cybertruck has a military background. Now, law enforcement officials.
So both have military backgrounds. Interesting. Both went and served in Afghanistan, they're saying, too.
Say they know the name of this driver who died in the explosion, but they are not going to be releasing the identity of that driver until they notify the next of kin. We understand that this driver was in Las Vegas for about an hour driving around the Strip before pulling up to Trump Tower before that explosion happened. And authorities say the driver rented the Cybertruck in Colorado via the Turo app before driving down to Las Vegas.
And they both rented vehicles through the same app. I mean, what do you guys think? You think it's related? Or just coincidence? I do believe in coincidences, but this is like both served military, both were in Afghanistan, both went on some unaliving mission, both rented vehicles through the same app, both used American vehicles, both used electric vehicles, right? What are you thinking? Tell me. Coincidence or what? I don't know. Let me do a little poll here. What you guys think? Let's see. Let's do a poll. Okay, just throwing the poll. It's weird.
Las Vegas. Video released by law enforcement shows explosives that were contained inside the truck, which included fireworks, gas tanks, and camping fuel. And all of that was connected to a detonation system that was controlled by the driver. And the sheriff pointed out, which is really incredible, how the Cybertruck actually contained the explosion. The way that it was built forced the explosion to go upwards instead of outwards, which meant that the glass from Trump Tower was not broken. And 7 people nearby were injured, but with minor injuries. All of them are okay. They've all been released from the hospital. The driver did die, and Las Vegas police believe that this was an isolated incident. They are not yet willing to say if this was, in fact, connected to what happened in New Orleans, but it is quite unusual that both the drivers in these incidents rented their cars from Turo. We do have a statement from Turo, and they said they're cooperating with these investigations. But they also said that neither of the drivers had criminal backgrounds, which would have flagged them as security threats.
Investigators are searching for any possible links between the 2 New Year's Day attacks, the one in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas.
Do I think it's a coincidence? I don't know. But what I can tell you is we're absolutely investigating any connectivity to what happened in New Orleans, as well as other attacks that have been occurring around the world. We're not ruling anything out yet.
All right, with us now, CNN senior law enforcement analyst, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. So the similarities are these. Both were using electric vehicles rented from this ride-share / user-to-user rental outfit, Turo. Military backgrounds, both drivers, explosives on both trucks, Andy. Possible it's just a coincidence? What do you see there?
On the same day.
Still possible that that's just a coincidence. But honestly, John, you have attacks occurring, vehicle-borne attacks occurring on the same day in different cities. That alone gets you a very intensive investigation to determine whether or not there's any connectivity between those two actors. And that could be anything from, interacting and planning and preparing together to execute those attacks, or it could be something as simple as a infrequent contact over social media that just brought them together as like-minded people. If there is any connection between the two of them, I am confident that our law enforcement and intelligence folks will uncover that, but they've got to look hard for it.
We heard from the FBI special agent, supervisory special agent in New Orleans, who said, we do not believe Jabbar, that's the New Orleans killer, acted alone. That's a direct, very direct comment there, Andy. What do you think gives them so much certainty at this point?
Yeah, it's really a bold thing to say, I think, this early in the investigation. There was a lot of talk yesterday about 4 other individuals who were captured on video surveillance, we believe somewhere near the site of one of these other IEDs that was recovered yesterday. That's been ruled out. So we still don't know if the FBI is quite as confident now that those 4 people have been ruled out about the presence of others. Nevertheless, there are other indicators here that could be forcing the investigators to broaden their search. And that is simply the fact that if these other suspected IEDs that were placed around the French Quarter are in fact connected to the driver of the truck, then there's a logistical challenge here. They're trying to determine, would it be possible for him to have created and placed those devices and then gotten in the truck and driven to his destined attack? So it's simple logistical questions like that could be compelling the investigators to think, this person probably had someone or some group of people helping him execute the attack.
There was the ISIS flag found in this vehicle in New Orleans. At a minimum, that gives reason to say this was inspired by ISIS. That's what we heard from the president. Andy, how do you find if it was more than that? More than inspired, perhaps directed? In your experience, and there were attacks during your time in the FBI like this, inspired by ISIS. In your experience, does ISIS get involved in these actions directly in the United States?
It's a great question, John. So ISIS has definitely been very forward-leaning in trying to recruit what we would think of typically as lone actors to strike out in acts of terrorism on their behalf in their home country. So without ever traveling to Syria, without ever meeting an actual ISIS member in person, without receiving specified training, they do that through the propaganda that they distribute around the world on the internet. So it really becomes a question of how do we think about those people who are inspired to act on ISIS's behalf? Typically, we refer to them simply as ISIS-inspired attacks. We think of that as an act of international terrorism, even though those folks may never have associated directly. But one of the ways that ISIS motivates them is to literally put out an instruction manual of how to do it. We know that ISIS in the past has advised their followers to obtain large, heavy vehicles, to drive those vehicles into crowded areas at events, to run over and kill as many people as they can, and to also carry a secondary weapon so that when the truck is inevitably stopped at some point, the driver will be able to get out and continue the killing with a gun or a knife or some sort of bladed weapon. So when we look at the details of this attack, it very closely matches exactly what ISIS has essentially asked its followers to do in their home country. So I think the connection here on the inspired level is very good. To determine whether or not he's an actual operative who had contact and received direction from ISIS, that requires the community to go deep into its intelligence holdings, to look at data sets like this data set we acquire through FISA Section 702 to see if there have ever been communication connections between this actor and any of the known or suspected terrorists we are following overseas.
Very quickly, Andy, any reason for concern today? There were 2 truck explosions. Could there be more? The Sugar Bowl scheduled for New Orleans this afternoon.
John, I'm a lifelong counterterrorism guy, so there's always a concern. That's where I start in this math equation. But yeah, absolutely, there's a concern about tonight and about the Super Bowl in a few weeks. If the FBI believes that there are other people that were possibly involved in this attack, there's every reason to think that they might have some sort of a follow-on action planned. That's why you're going to see security very, very high for tonight's event.
Andrew McCabe, I really appreciate your time this morning, helping us understand everything we're seeing as this investigation, 24 hours old now. We're going to see a lot more over the next several hours. Appreciate it.
Okay. Amazing. Oh, man. Unverified CyberTruck bombing suspect linked to Green Beret. Background. Unverified report suggests Matthew killed in Las Vegas. CyberTruck explosion was a former Green Beret specializing in communications, intelligence, and unmanned aircraft systems. What is going on? Oh, check this out. This is from New Orleans.
So after the police did not put up the fucking barricades that would have kept 30 fucking people from getting run over, now they want to act like they're doing something.
Yeah,
literally no barricades were up on any of the fucking streets all night long. And we've been here since 8 o'clock. All the cops are parked. Like, instead, all the cops are worried about taking pictures and all this stupid shit.
Oh, come on.
So these are all the coroner buses. It's not even enough for all the fucking bodies. They're waiting in line because the bodies are in the middle of the street and they can only get to them one at a time. But at least some people did live. Not very many, but some. So just corner bus after corner bus, waiting to go down Bourbon.
Well, goddamn it, hell was I supposed to know? I had to do something.
And then you got the oblivious people that still don't know anything going on. Crazy fucking shit. Didn't have to happen.
Boy, when I tell you 2025 is going to be year of the
TikTok,
psyops,
baby.
believe
TikTok.
me. So there was a horrific attack on Bourbon Street in New Orleans on New Year's where this car plowed into a crowd of people got out and start firing at police. The suspect is Shamsud, which is a 42-year-old real estate agent from Beaumont, Texas. Now, in this marketing video, he states that he's born and raised in Texas, lives in Houston, but there's a few things odd right off the bat that I found.
Born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist.
Why does this video feel like a setup? Because he's giving vital information about his background instead of talking about real estate. Mind you, this is the only video he's posted on his YouTube back in 2020, then completely fell off. Then his real estate license actually expires in 2023 and he doesn't renew it. So this screams sleeper cell to me. Going back to the truck.
Oh, sleeper cell. Hell no. Hell no. Sleeper cell. What's going on, man?
So that flag that's covered up is an ISIS flag, and allegedly that's who he has allegiance to. Now here where it starts to get really weird. Ford's X account got hacked a few days ago saying all eyes on Gaza, Israel is a terrorist state.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah, the Ford Twitter account was hacked. I did forget about that. And they were whoever did it was very, pro-Palestine.
Free Palestine. And Ford even made a statement saying their account was compromised.
And think about the F-150 that was taken. American cars, right? The CyberTruck and the F-150. F-150.
And they did not make those posts. Then you have an attack with a Ford F-150 Lightning with an ISIS flag. What are the chances? And who could have hacked that Ford X account? Oh, I don't know, maybe a military IT specialist? But it doesn't stop there. This actual car was at the scene of another attack. Can anybody tell me why that same truck was in front of this CyberTruck that blew up in...
I heard some people saying that, rummaging, saying that like the F-150 was seen like together or with the CyberTruck. I don't know. I did see that flying around yesterday on the world of X.
Front of Trump Towers in Las Vegas. You can't make this shit up. Now this CyberTruck pulled up, parked, and then exploded with the driver inside. Now, obviously, they are sending a message to Elon and Trump. And who would willingly pull up just to unalive themselves like this? Sleeper cell. And I find this pretty odd that Elon reposts this on his X account saying, this Cybertruck looks like the future. This was a response to this post saying, this Cybertruck is on fire and this literally looks like the Cybertruck is exploding. And it doesn't stop there. So you guys, on New Year's, the Empire State Building, the Washington Monument, and the US Capitol get struck by lightning. You mean the same name.
Even the lightning? No. I mean, we did see that I think it was New Year's Eve. We covered that. They're saying the lightning's linked too? What?
The Cybertruck is exploding. And it doesn't stop there. So you guys, on New Year's, the Empire State Building, the Washington Monument, and the US Capitol get struck by lightning. You mean the same name, this truck, lightning, struck people in New Orleans.
No, come on, bro. That's crazy. I don't know. That maybe it's a little too much. You think is it that deep? Again, it's an F-150 Lightning, and the monument was struck by lightning. No, I think that's kind of reaching a little bit. You know, I don't know. I didn't watch this video before, so I'm like, but I was like, oh, it looks kind of interesting. Let me just play it.
It looks like the Cybertruck is exploding, and it doesn't.
Oh shit, that is the new Cybertruck thing. Yeah, Cybertruck. Oh my god.
To this post saying this Cybertruck is on fire and this literally looks like the Cybertruck is exploding. And it doesn't stop there. So you guys, on New Year's, the Empire State Building, the Washington Monument, and the US Capitol get struck by lightning. You mean the same name, this truck, lightning, struck people in New Orleans. Got it. Also, they said that this truck was sitting on a dealership lot on December 14th, then got bought, then got put on Turo, which then he rented. Not to mention that Cybertruck that was in front of Trump.
Wait, December when? 14th? That's not true, though, because somebody had rented the trunk in November.
New Orleans. Got it. Also, they said that this truck was sitting on a dealership lot on December 14th, then got bought, then got put on Turo, which then he...
No, somebody rented it in November.
Rented. Not to mention that Cybertruck that was in front of Trump Tower was also rented on Turo. Then
the rentals, it is interesting. That does stand out to me that they both are rented through the same app.
Airbnb he rents actually catches on fire and dozens of people had to evacuate. How convenient. Wait, hold up. This is happening in the same city where the Super Bowl is happening this year, February 9th.
Maybe Lil Wayne did it because Lil Wayne was pissed off about did that already happen? I think that happened already. What Lil Wayne and they picked what's the other guy's name?
Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. They not like us. They not like us.
Kendrick Lamar. Maybe Lil Wayne's behind it.
Didn't the Super Bowl happen last year in Las Vegas on February 11th? So you have two attacks on the same day in both of these cities. And look at the dates. 9/11. Oh.
Whoa. Wait, what? 9/11, February 9th and February 11th. 9/11. Oh shit.
In both of these cities. And look at the dates. 9/11. Oh, they love their symbolism. Now, since then, the governor declared a state of emergency in New Orleans and even postponed the Sugar Bowl. Now, the question is, are we really under attack? Because the FBI just found 150 homemade bombs in a Virginia home, which is one of the largest seizures they've ever had. Either way, I would keep my head on a swivel, especially if you're in a major city, because it seems like somebody's sending a message. I'll keep you guys updated on any developments, but let me know what you think about this down below.
Okay. That was interesting. A little bit of a highlight of this morning, I guess. There's something else I wanted to play. This is I was going to say JLR. This is JLP, Jesse Lee Peterson, and he had some thoughts. Some people might get offended, but he had some thoughts.
Department and recover.
Saw the press conference there in New Orleans. They had it was a little motley crowd. They had the mayor. They had the so-called FBI representative, a black female. They had just everybody showed up. Want 10 minutes of fame. That's why they showed up.
And it was super crowded. They were like shoulder to shoulder on top of each other. Couldn't even breathe. That press conference yesterday was kind of a shit show. bit.
And it was
you had the guy.
reported.
You had the guy yesterday sipping out of a red cup. Not only was it just a red cup, but it was a double red cup. I was like, bro, double rainbow, double red cup. What in the? Check this out. Yesterday, if you missed it, we're rolled out of bed.
In the federal government, who are responsible for telling us what happened, like they stole Christmas.
Christmas.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Congressman Carter.
That boy pulled out the red cup.
Thank you, Governor.
That's how we get down around here.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
New Year's celebration. It looks like he has a double red cup, bro. Double red cup.
Kennedy, thank you
Holy
to
shit.
all of our law enforcement agents.
Look at this. What?
For stepping up at a time when we needed you most.
Okay, all right. So the double red cup yesterday.
I don't know. I didn't hear any more about it, but somewhere I heard that this so-called FBI or whatever she was, a black lady, said that, oh, this was not a terrorist attack, something like that.
Oh, she did say
and
that.
And then they found out
initially.
they had to recant that because she didn't know what she was talking about.
Yeah.
But when I saw the governor and the representatives there in Louisiana, I'm like, oh my God. It was a full display of DEI.
There was a kind of a funny meme too that I saw where they were talking about, because initially they said it's not a terror attack. It's not a terror attack. So there's this funny meme that I saw, and it says FBI, it wasn't a terror attack, while they're taking a picture of this flag. We all thought it was weird they were hiding this flag. Like they responded to taking down the flag before responding to assessing the victims. I'm exaggerating, but that's what it seemed like. You know, 1 minute the flag's there, the next minute it's gone. This is the most important thing. We got to wrap this shit up and hide it or whatever, move it away. So FBI, it wasn't a terror attack, and then everybody else like, bro, come on.
It was DEI at work. I mean, and I'm like, no wonder this happened in New Orleans. They have DEI. They have an old white woman for the for the police chief. Old white woman, look like grandma. And she said, I'm the police chief, and I'm the police superintendent thing. And she's like, we tried to fix that barrel, but that man went around it. They got an old white woman for police chief, and then a black woman for the FBI or something like that, and then another black woman for the mayor of New Orleans. It was just DEI everywhere. Everybody in there, DEI. I'm like, well, no wonder they picked New Orleans. Not the best qualified people, but the DEI people. It was a mess. I'm like, we're in trouble. New Orleans, you're in trouble. Because they have everybody DEI.
Oh my God.
888-77.
I saw that this morning. I'm like, oh shit. All right, let's see what else we got going on. We're waiting for they're having 30 minutes. They're going to have a press conference update about the New Orleans attack. 15 dead.
My truck hits the corner and comes barreling through people, throwing people like a movie scene, like real life, throwing people into the air, they falling under the car, all of that. Bodies all up and down the street, everybody screaming and hollering. You look down, you see somebody doing CPR, you look around, people crying on the floor, like brains, matter all over the ground. And yeah, it really hurt me to see like one of my closest friends like that.
The deadly Bourbon Street attack is our top story this morning. We know that 15 people are dead, 30 people are injured. President Biden addressed the nation about the horrific attack. Take a listen.
I'm not going to comment on any specific yet. I've contacted every agency in the federal government as well as the state. They're all coordinating to get to the bare facts.
Your reaction when you heard what happened?
Well, the reaction was one of anger and frustration. Thank you.
The FBI identified the suspect as 42-year-old Shamsud Shabar. He's a U.S. citizen and an Army veteran. from Texas. For more on who's behind this act of terror, I want to bring in now my colleague, Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas. Cody, tell me, what do we know about this guy, and also what do we know about any alleged accomplices in this attack?
Well, Julie, we'll begin with him, as you just said, 42 years old, born and raised in Texas, a U.S. citizen, served in the Army from 2007 active duty, 2007 to 2015. Once he got done with active duty, he served in the reserves until 2020. He got out as a staff sergeant. Now, in 2021, he was hired on at a staff level position with Deloitte, one of the big four consulting firms in the world. So making decent money, around $10K a month, according to court documents. So he's doing fairly well for himself. No prior criminal record or anything like that. But in 2022, during a separation from his then wife, he did face, a nasty financial situation. But moving forward to yesterday's attack, a flag representing the Islamic State was found on that rented F-150. And as we know, in recent years, the Islamic State is viewed as a radicalized group. Now, he had IEDs, which are pretty much homemade bombs and guns, as well as we know he got out and was shooting back at officers. But the key here is, Julie, the Louisiana Attorney General says that he did not act alone, as multiple pipe bombs and IEDs were found in the area of Bourbon Street around the French Quarter. Take a listen to what she had to say.
We do know that there is a connection between a house that was located on Mandeville Street in New Orleans and where we believe that these IEDs may have been put together. And there was a house fire there, so we also believe that they were trying to get rid of evidence. And then, we know that there, and understand there are multiple people that are involved. So one individual is deceased at the scene, but the other individuals are still out there.
And Julie, to piggyback on what she just said, the Louisiana State Police Bulletin cited surveillance video in the area of 3 men and 1 woman placing one of those IEDs in the area as well. So just very horrific and not the most ideal way to start this new year.
No, not at all, Cody. This is just dreadful. The connection between Las Vegas, that's still up in the air in terms of an investigation. What do we know? Is there anything that is showing us a definitive link between these two acts?
Well, as you just said, definitely still up in the air. They are still going on in the investigation. No confirmed link at this time, but there are some coincidentals. Both suspects served in the military. Both suspects rented vehicles from the app Toro. Both suspects both attacks involved explosives that are believed to be remote triggered, as if, someone that doesn't have to be right where it is. They could click a button and the explosive would go off. Both suspects are relatively close in age. The one in Vegas, 37. The one here in New Orleans, 42. So again, up in the air, but definitely some coincidentals in both attacks.
Yeah. Is there any evidence, Cody, that they might have known each other?
It is cited by one of our affiliates that they did serve at the same military base.
Oh, wow.
So that's as much as we know right now as far as the investigation continues.
Right. I know you're following this closely for us, Cody Thomas. We're going to see you back here in our next hour for another report on the very latest. Thank you so much. I want to continue the discussion. I want to bring in a very special guest, someone who served in the FBI. We know the FBI is handling the case and looking into whether there's a link between the incident in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas. Let's welcome in retired Special Agent Jennifer Coffindeffer. Jen, good morning to you. Would you start, please, with what you make of these two incidents occurring on the same day and the information Cody just gave us? Does it seem to you like there could be a connection?
Good morning, Julie. I will say this, that coincidences seldom exist in law enforcement. And I find it very interesting, not only the time frame that these two occurrences happened just within hours of each other. Also, as was mentioned, their military service, the fact that they served at the same military base, the fact that they rented from Turo, which is a very obscure a rental app, if you will. I use it all the time, but it's like the Airbnb. They have a very small fleet. I found that very interesting. So certainly these issues, as well as the IEDs that were used in each event, make them highly coincidental. So we'll find out more, but I'm steering toward that belief.
Sure. I'm sure you're very suspicious of it, as am I. Jen, could I ask you please about what the FBI is doing right now? Would you mind kind of walking us through the behind the scenes, starting, in New Orleans? Cody just mentioned about seeing other people on video footage who might have been involved. What might they be doing right now to track these people down?
Well, actually, there was a very recent report that said, in fact, those 4 individuals, the 3 men and 1 woman, have now been cleared of suspicion, but that, of course, they still believe others were involved. The key to this whole thing is those IEDs and the digital communication. In other words, Julie, everyone knew, including Mr. Jabbar, that he was going to die that day. He went in there, absolutely knowing he was committing a word that we need to bring back in our vocabulary, right? There's several: jihad, radicalization, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. I mean, they seem to be making a footprint here again, Julie. And they need to be looking at those IEDs. Clearly, if he was dead, who was going to detonate them? Where were they made? Did he have that sort of background? We don't see it in his military experience. So I think there are, of course, others involved, and we know because they've said so.
Right. Such great analysis from you, as always, Jen. Jen, I'm curious what you're thinking about. You're also a podcast host. Break the Case is your show. Tell me, when you heard this news, I know your heart sank. What were your initial thoughts, and then your thoughts waking up this morning, the questions that are really at the front of your mind?
Well, the first thing that I was concerned about was this merely a copycat? Was this just a lone wolf that decided to go in and copycat the Germany situation that recently took place? That made a lot of sense to me. But my heart really sank, Julie, when I found out how intricate this was, that there were other IEDs, this rental car, that he was willing to give up his life for his mission, and that, of course, he was former military. So top on my mind is there an actual active cell working right now to recruit former military individuals who are at a low point in their life and are vulnerable? And are the Las Vegas and this attack connected? Definitely.
Really appreciate you saying that. That's something that some of the members of our Court TV team were wondering about. Does this guy have a network, so to speak? Are there others who might be praising him for what he did that we have to look out for? Would you speak to that aspect of, prevention and maybe identifying other dangerous associates?
Well, Julie, I had a case so similar to this from the standpoint of radicalization. Somebody that was so normal, working their life with a family, everything was normalized. And then when they became radicalized, you could see their whole demeanor change, this anger in their eyes. And what they do is they really isolate themselves from their family, from their friends. You'll see them just completely withdraw and change and sink deeper into financial difficulties with relationships. And that's what individuals need to be looking for. There's always a catalyst, and that is usually despair.
This is fascinating information you're sharing, Jen. This Shamsud Jabbar apparently only recently became Muslim, but was very quickly radicalized and became an extremist very, very rapidly from the information that we know. What does that say to you?
Well, back in the times of 9/11, we think of people being radicalized. They actually had to go abroad oftentimes. It was seemingly a longer process. Now with social media, with the internet, just with everything that is happening now, it's so different. And basically it's building a network. And again, these individuals are identified from things that they say on social media, and people who are experts, if you will, in radicalization glob onto them and begin their work.
Wow. Jen, tell me, please, before we have to let you go, do you think we're going to be seeing more arrests for this incident in New Orleans? In other words, do you think that this guy didn't act alone?
I don't think he acted alone. I think we will see more arrests. And quite frankly, Julie, and not to be some sort of alarmist, but just having been active FBI working Al-Qaeda and ISIS cases back in the day, I can tell you it's very concerning to me that there are cells that exist out there that are going to be more active. And they don't have to get planes anymore. They rent cars, they put explosives in them, and they can do acts like this.
It is terrifying and a very, very real threat, as you know, my friend. So the more we can talk about it and discuss ways to infiltrate these groups and dismember them and hopefully prevent any more tragedies like this. So we've got to do it. Jennifer Coffindeffer, always great to have you on the program. Check out Jennifer's show, Break.
So they're saying that these terrorist organizations back then had a better vetting process. Hey, you two bad actors. They had a better vetting process. They had civility. They had standards about mass killings and raping and all this stuff, and all in the name of their God. And so they're saying lately, as of late, their standards have dropped and they've moved quickly. And so the process of vetting these people is just a quicker process, I guess. And I don't know, but seriously, the guy that this guy, what's his name? Shamsud Din Jabbar. The guy seemed like he was going through a lot of stuff financially. They took his kids, probably rightfully so, nut job, and had a restraining order against him, and he lost it. And it was even stated yesterday that this guy at first initially thought, you know what? Let me just kill my entire family. And then he changed his mind and decided, you know what? Let me join Islam. And let me just kill all these random people to express whatever message it is. And I'm wondering if they'll release the videos. They said he posted videos before the incident.
Piece together what led up to Wednesday's terror attack. You were looking live at Bourbon Street this morning, still closed off. The FBI says 15 people were killed, at least 35 were hurt when this man, Shamsud Din Jabbar, plowed through a large crowd, got out of his pickup truck, and opened fire before being killed by police. President Biden saying Jabbar had a desire to kill as many people as he possibly could and was influenced by ISIS. We have live team coverage on every single angle of this story. Let's start things off with News Nation's Alex Capriello, who is live on Bourbon Street in New Orleans this morning. Alex, get us up to speed 24 hours later here. What's the latest in the investigation?
Hey, good morning to you, Marky. Technically, this is still an FBI crime scene, although the FBI says that they are planning on turning it over to local authorities at some point later this morning. In the meantime, the famous street right here in the French Quarter will still be off limits to the public, although we are also hearing that it could be opened up later today. We know the Sugar Bowl is in town and expected to happen this afternoon. Overnight, we just heard authorities were executing search warrants that were also here in New Orleans, as well as Houston, as well as we are also hearing in other states like Las Vegas and Colorado. Victims, as far as we know, still 15 deceased, more than 35 that were injured. That number, though, expected to grow as more and more people confirm that they were injured. We can obviously imagine the number of people that fled the scene here on Bourbon Street when everything happened on New Year's Day. Those people still coming forward. The alleged terrorist, Shamsud Din Jabbar, 42-year-old Army veteran from Houston, Texas. The authorities say that he has expressed some sort of ideations that align with ISIS. The authorities say that he had an ISIS flag attached to that truck that was driven right down Bourbon Street. And they say that he had actually rented that truck, and inside were more guns and explosives. Jabbar apparently shot down by New Orleans police shortly after driving right down Bourbon Street, but not before he was also able to fire off some of the shots of his own, striking 2 police officers who are now in stable condition. Take a listen.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We're aggressively running down every lead.
We're hoping to get more information
about that at this point.
Away from Bourbon Street.
Okay. Yeah, we know this. Yeah, the CyberTruck person's name that's been being put out, Matthew Libesberg, served. He was in Afghanistan and a member of the army for 19 years. And JLR posted, not a good look at all. ISIS attacks New Orleans, and hours later, the governor is posting pictures of him smiling while out eating. Bon Tom prime rib. Reminds me of the New York governor, where she did a whole thing. Oh, we're going to walk through the trains. See? The trains are safe now. The same day, I think it was the same day or the day after the person got burned alive. Everything is good. Everything is safe. Everything's better now. And just recently, somebody got pushed, right? Somebody got shoved. I don't know if you guys saw that. Some psycho whack job pushed somebody right as the train was coming in to stop, pushed this person into the train tracks. The person survived. They had a lot of... Here it is. Hold on. Let me show you guys. I'm just telling you, things are different now. We have to be very vigilant because it's almost literally like a battle between good and evil, whether they want to call it mental health or whatever you want to call it. The depraved people. NYC man randomly shoved onto subway tracks on New Year's Eve. Identified 45-year-old music programmer Joseph Linsky. He survived with several injuries, including a cracked skull, 4 broken ribs, and a ruptured spleen, but is expected to fully recover. The person that did it, allegedly, Camille Hawkins, 23-year-old, arraigned on attempted murder and second-degree assault charges. They want to tell you that the trains are safe. I'm telling you, that's why people have changed their vote. But there's still a lot of delusional people, but like they're literally telling you, hey, there's nothing wrong. Everything is fine. This is not happening. And then you're watching it on video happen multiple times over and over and over again. But they want to say, oh, there's nothing wrong. Nothing's happening. And you just forget what's in front of you on video. Just take their word.
He's alive. He's alive.
This was where the guy pushed him. Pushed him. And the only reason this guy probably survived is because maybe the train was already stopping. If it was full throttle, he probably wouldn't survive. It's incredible he's alive. It's amazing. It's a blessing. But this person jumps the turnstile. And pushes this guy. Crazy. Insane.
We work for a medium rare, the New Orleans location. We just reopened August 28th. We out here trying to take care of some of the first responders, the people that take care of us. We know y'all been out here for hours. Who knows how long you guys have been out here. So we just took it upon ourselves to make a little gesture and come out and try to get you guys some food, a little nourishment, take care of you guys.
That's really nice of you. And this is the chef with us, right?
Absolutely.
What did you guys make for all of the members of the media?
Oh, a little steak and salad with some of our secret sauce, some of our special secret sauce. This is Diego. My name is Amir. He's a little camera shy, but I got my guy.
This is my first time in a camera thing. I don't know how to be, but I hope you all like it. We made it with the best.
We made it with love.
Yeah.
Just trying to take care of you guys. Made it with love.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. We work for a medium rare, the New Orleans location. We just reopened August 28th. We out here trying to take care of some of the first responders, the people that take care of us. We know y'all been out here for hours. Who knows how long you guys have been out here.
Nice gesture. Even if it's for promo, I don't care. Nice gesture, feeding the people out there, helping people out. That's nice. This is crazy. Now, this video, I don't know if you guys have seen this. How much time? Okay, 9 minutes. Okay. Till the press conference. This is some new footage as well that's come out. I think I saw this yesterday, but you can see the truck whizzing by. I don't know if any of these people got hit. It looks like maybe they got out just in the nick of time. But this is like, honestly, man, it's not. The times have changed. Like, you really have, when you go out, you really have to be aware of your surroundings. Like, yeah, even when I go walk the dogs or I step outside, I'm kind of like looking a little bit around me because you don't know this online, some of these weird people. But like these people too, luckily these people were kind of like aware somewhat. Maybe they heard this truck flying down. People started running. This person here in the black turns around. And so does this other person, but there's almost no time to react. And this lady doesn't even turn around. She just knows to run. Had this person turned around, I don't know the condition of these people, but might have been too late. This guy, he might have hit her. I don't know if he hit her or not. Flying down the road. I mean, his foot was on the pedal, just going. You know? Exclusive alleged picture of the ISIS flag. They're saying was on this guy's thing. So press conference at 11. It's crazy, man, the times we're in. Chilling new images show stars on Bourbon Street moments before attack. LSU gymnast and social media influencer Olivia Dunn and her MLB star boyfriend Paul Skeens on the Bourbon Street. Okay. Wow. Let's see, we have a link for the press conference here. Okay, it says 11:15. Maybe it got pushed back to 11:15.
I appreciate everyone continuing to be with us here as we
continue
to update
thank you for the
latest
thank you,
out of New Orleans. We do have a podium shot. It is set up.
There we go. Got a podium shot.
Louisiana officials, including the governor there, Jeff Landry. So as soon as that gets going, of course, we'll bring that to you live. We'll take out all our commercials as well, and we will bring that to you all in real time right here on Live Now from Fox. In the meantime, I do want to go out right outside of the Houston home of the suspect in this terror attack. There was someone speaking outside of the home there. That is as the FBI concluded their investigation of that home. So let's listen to what we can from this all happening just moments ago.
And how long had the white truck been here?
Only one night.
What was your name?
Mumtaz Bashir.
Can you spell that for us?
M-U-M-T-A-Z.
How long have you lived here?
A couple of years.
Well, can you explain the community here, what kind of community this is?
Loving and peaceful.
Mostly here, we know each other here, and we are like practicing more religious. We go to the prayer. We like each other.
Did he belong to the mosque close by?
No, nothing. Like I said, I never see him act like, going there, doing the thing. But I asked him a couple of times. He said he prays at home.
Anything that popped out to you as him being radicalized?
Not a clue, not any red flag, anything like that. Just That's all we saw.
And was he always alone, or was he ever with people? Was he ever alone, or was he with people?
Well, mostly I seen him alone, but I guess mom is it.
He went through 2 divorces. Did he ever talk about that? His ex-wife and his kids?
We have no clue.
No.
We have no clue.
Did you ever meet any of his family members?
His mother.
How long
Mama.
were you with him?
Mama's love.
She was like first she lived with him for a while, then she moved. I think back whatever this ship I think from, and then she was visiting.
Was she here this week by chance? Did you see her?
No, I didn't see her.
Do you remember the last time you saw her?
Maybe a couple of months ago. What about that?
And the last time you saw him was the day before yesterday? Were you evacuated from your home yesterday, or you were here?
I was at work, so my family was there.
And was your family, were they moved out yesterday? Were they asked to?
They asked them to stay.
I'm sorry, say again?
They asked them to stay in.
To
This
stay.
day is in. Yeah, nobody came out.
Okay. So they slept here last night, everybody?
Excuse me?
Y'all all slept here last night?
We all
Day
slept.
killer.
Yeah.
He had 2 daughters. They were more like adult daughters. Did you ever see anybody that might?
No.
Just the mom.
Just his mom. Well, he has son, I think, every now and then. Besides that, not daughter.
You did see a son come
I saw his son once.
When was the last time you saw him?
I think a few months back too.
Yeah, this kid is wilding out. They don't give it.
Come with his mother, or just independently, or?
What is it?
Would come with Jabbar's mother?
I think I never seen them coming with anybody. I saw him cycling bicycles with him outside in the area.
Okay. You talk about this being a religious community, and you saw that he, prayed. Do you feel like this casts a dark shadow, a dark cloud over you guys' community now?
As a community, like I said, I have a concern about not to go into the churches or masjid. But he said he prays home, and it's okay.
Prays at home.
As long as you practice.
All in the name of Jesus.
We're not like that. Like, oh, you gotta do that. You gotta do that.
But they don't got Jesus.
We just tell them, okay, you do it. We don't see you in this as active, so it's no, you gotta do it. So that's fine.
So how long have you lived in this community?
We lived in a couple of years.
As long as you've been here?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, has Jabbar has been here as long as you have?
You kind of love.
You said you lived here several years. Was Jabbar also here for many years?
No, he only been here for a year plus.
A year.
I never knew him before. I never knew him before. Nobody, I think, knew him in the community ever. So he was just new for us, but he was, like I said, quiet, not to bothering people, mind his business, we mind our business.
Is this your son? And it's okay.
That appears to be a neighbor of that lived right next door to the suspect there in connection with the terror attack. And again, the FBI went to the home yesterday out in Houston. So they were just media and then talking to neighbors, trying to get some sense of the suspect there accused of that terrible, terrible attack out in New Orleans. All right, everyone, we are awaiting the major news conference out of New Orleans, the latest updates coming. And as soon as that happens, we will bring that to you right here, as always, on Live Now from Fox. I do want to continue to update you on the Las Vegas situation of yesterday with the CyberTruck explosion outside of Trump's property, the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. We are getting some breaking news regarding that. Let's bring that to you here on Live Now from Fox. What we are learning is the person who authorities believe died in the explosion of a Tesla Cybertruck packed with fireworks and mortars and camp fuel canisters outside President-elect Donald Trump's Las Vegas hotel was an active duty U.S. Army soldier. 3 U.S. officials are telling the Associated Press today. 2 law enforcement officials identified the man inside the futuristic-looking pickup truck as Matthew Livsberger. The law enforcement officials spoke to the AP. 3 U.S. officials said Livsberger was an active-duty Army member who spent time at the base formerly known as Fort Bragg, a massive Army base in North Carolina that is home to Army Special Forces Command. The officials also spoke on this in length as well. The truck explosion came hours after a driver, 42-year-old Shamsud Din Babar Jabbar, rammed a truck into a crowd in New Orleans' famed French Quarter early on New Year's Day, killing at least 15 people before being shot to death by police. That crash was being investigated as a terrorist attack, and police believe the driver was not acting alone. Jabbar, a U.S. Army veteran, also spent time at Fort Bragg, but one official said so far there is no overlap in their assignments there. So again, we are bringing this to you, really updating you as we get it here on Live Now from Fox. Again, we'll be continuing to look for more updates, not only out in Las Vegas, but also Colorado now, where the investigation is pointing to as that FBI scope has now widened to 3 other states with the Las Vegas connection there. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. We do have a news conference slated with the Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry. That should be happening in the next couple of moments. When that does, we will bring that to you right here live without any commercial breaks. We do have the members of the media there. They are waiting for this news conference to get going. So we'll be definitely keeping an eye on that for you and bringing that to your attention on Live Now. I do want to give some more updates, though, from New Orleans. Let's go back out to the local affiliate reporter who was interviewing more people on Bourbon Street earlier today.
Tragically lost their lives on the street.
Thank you, Governor. We appreciate it. Our first look here at Bourbon Street, quiet now, but we hope that it returns to that shrine of frivolity that it always has been.
Well, look, that's our hope as well. I think each one of those who lost their life here came here to have a good time and to enjoy a great city. And it would be a tragedy if we were not able to bring the city back to that so that their loss would not be in vain and people got to be able to enjoy the city again in a way that they did up until this tragic event.
Thank you, Governor. We appreciate it. I know you're going to go ahead and take a tour of the area. We'll let you go ahead and do that. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Be safe, all right?
Take care.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. All right, so there you have it. You heard the Governor Landry. This is the first opportunity that we've had to see this area since those tragic acts yesterday morning right here. Look, we'll continue walking with the team right now as they survey the area. The Royal Sonesta on our left here.
All right, that was just moments ago where that reporter was able to interview Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry speaking and taking a tour of Bourbon Street. You could see flanked there by military personnel as well as state officials continuing to protect the governor and really the site there on Bourbon Street. So we are keeping an eye on all of our cameras that we have available to us right now. Again, a news conference is slated sometime this hour. Should be happening any minute now. We'll be keeping an eye on that. I do want to go out. Let's go out to more coverage. Fox 26 in Houston. More updates on this matter. Let's listen in.
Shamsud Din Jabbar, actually a Houston man, 42 years old, drove a truck down Bourbon Street, slamming into individuals as they were finishing up their New Year's Eve celebrations there on Bourbon Street. 15 people at this point confirmed dead, dozens more injured. As you can imagine, on New Year's there on Bourbon Street in New Orleans how many people would be on Bourbon Street at any time of day, especially on a celebration like that. We have seen images, we have seen videos, we've heard testimonies from people who were there and talked about just how horrific this was to experience, hearing from people who witnessed this firsthand, who lost loved ones. And then not only on New Year's, but the thousands of people also in New Orleans for the game that has been rescheduled for
game,
today.
I know.
The
The most important thing to these people out in New Orleans, the game.
Played yesterday, scheduled now today.
Can't about anything else but the game.
Central Time. So thousands of people were there in New Orleans, an awesome city, just to celebrate a multitude of things.
And now one of the things that investigators are looking at is we had another incident in Las Vegas where a car with fireworks and gas canisters and explosive things, and both of the vehicles used in these two incidents were rented on the app Turo, which is an app, by the way. So if you have a vehicle that you want to lease out,
Make
you
some
can
money.
lease it through Turo, and then
Yeah. Turo's making money. Elon Musk is making money. They say his truck prevented the blast from being more, causing more damage. So if you want to protect yourself, maybe if you're in a CyberTruck, maybe that'll protect you. Being in a CyberTruck from bullets and bombs and everything else.
incidents were set up and carried
Even
out.
though it has a rustling problem.
And so they are looking into the possibility that these two could be connected. We are already hearing that they believe that Shamsud Jabbar, the suspect in the New Orleans case, that he did not act alone. They had already suspected that. So we're hoping to learn from this press conference a little bit more about what they're learning about the bigger picture here. And of course, it's so alarming for us to learn that this suspect in New Orleans is from here in Houston.
He was also a military veteran as well. And another parallel between this in New Orleans and in Las Vegas, both individuals, the person that was found in the car dead in that CyberTruck was also a military veteran who served overseas the same time as Shamsud Jabbar. So that is another parallel at this point that obviously is having a lot of investigators with their antennas up. Another part of this investigation too, obviously we said the suspect in New Orleans, he is from the Houston area, so he obviously has a house here. The FBI executed a search warrant there in North Houston. We have a reporter there. Our Shelby Rose has been there all morning long. As I believe now, investigators just wrapped up there on the scene. Shelby, let's go live to her, and she can bring us the latest there.
FBI Houston did wrap up their investigation just before 8 o'clock this morning, and we are just now getting our first look at the home that Shamsud Jabbar was believed to be living in. And it's pretty clear that the FBI was here along with their SWAT team, bomb squad, other technicians. I mean, you can just see where they used their battering rams and their vehicles to break down this door while executing that search warrant yesterday morning. And this search warrant went on for more than 17 hours. We had law enforcement presence here. They were blocking off multiple roads all around leading up into Crescent Pink Drive here in North Harris County. The FBI says that they did conclude their investigation around
That's true,
this
Jennifer,
morning,
yeah.
saying that there is no threat to any residents in the area, but saying that any further updates would have to come from the FBI field office that is in New Orleans because they are the lead investigating agency. We did actually speak with the man who lives just across from where Jabbar does. He says that he saw him from time to time. He says that he lived here for a little over a year. He saw one of his sons playing in the backyard here. He's also seen Jabbar's mother, but he didn't really have much other to provide, saying that he kept to himself. He was quiet and that he considered this entire area a very religious community, but did not see any extreme radical behavior out of Jabbar, again reiterating that he was a quiet man. Now, what we do also know about Jabbar is he has a little bit of a criminal history, have arrests out of Katy as well as Beaumont, but that is about it. And so we're trying to still learn some more about Jabbar, speaking with other residents in this area. It's a very, very small community out here out of Crescent Peak Road, but of course, we're going to bring you the very latest as soon as we receive it. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, let me check Twitter. Let's see what else is going on.
You know, once we took your live picture, I was seeing people kind of walking around behind there or behind you. Can you tell us a little bit about what's playing out at the home now?
So this is all the people that you're seeing around me is just other media people, but we can kind of like come in here a little bit to kind of give you a little bit of a better picture of the home that he was living in.
Oh, this is the home.
You know, there's a little bit cluttered to go up in here, but this was the front entrance. This is where also we saw, if you look inside, I got a good look at some washers and dryers
in the house?
and stuff like that. Nothing really too out of the ordinary. You could tell by looking inside the home that the FBI, you know, they are very, very thorough with their search warrant. But of course, you know, it's a very tight-lipped agency in what they found. So we're just going to have to wait to see what comes out of this investigation.
And one of the things that shocked me, Shelby, was to learn this was someone who was a realtor. He was working.
Yeah, he was a nice guy, well-spoken.
So he was, you know, very integrated in the business community. You know,
what happened?
You know, it's just probably working alongside people that you know, perhaps had no idea that any of this might have been playing out in the background.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we had a statement from Deloitte says that they are shocked to hear this news. The neighbor reiterating the same thing. I mean, he was telling us that he had no idea that Jabbar was even capable of something like this.
He was a gentleman.
Saying that he doesn't know him very well, but he was telling us that he wasn't even allowed back into his home until 2 o'clock in the morning. He wasn't home when the search warrant was initially executed, saying that other family members were, but he says that it definitely was a scary thing to have to witness.
Got it. Okay. Well, Shelby Rose live there on the scene in North Houston, where FBI investigators just wrapped up searching there in the suspect of the deadly crash there in New Orleans there. Shelby, thanks a lot. Well, another interesting note, I was saying there, they were both the suspect in New Orleans and the individual who was found dead in the CyberTruck in Las Vegas. They were both military veterans. They also both came from the same base. They both came from Fort Bragg. They served at different times, but it's just interesting.
Same base. That's the thing too. That's the other thing about this guy. So the poll, we're waiting for the press conference. The poll, I said, do you think both incidents are related? 2,100 people voted. 83% say yes. 17% say no. They were both at the same base, bro. What?
One here in the days to come. Another thing to know. That truck that was used in New Orleans, investigators say they found what they believe to be an ISIS flag there inside the truck. You were just looking at the truck there. It looks like a Ford pickup truck, I believe, there. So a lot of information, I can imagine, in the days and weeks to come will continue to come out of this investigation. But you can see here, obviously on your screen, where this man used this truck, plowed down Bourbon Street. If you've ever been on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, you know it is incredibly busy any time of year,
yes,
any time of day, but especially on a day like New Orleans where people flock to the city to celebrate a brand new year, along with the people who were already flocking to the city for the Sugar Bowl. There were thousands of people on that street. And obviously you saw where 15 people at this point are dead, dozens more are injured, and the conditions of those injured are still unclear right now, unclear, you know, how they are doing and what could come next for them as well.
Yeah, and just to bring you up to speed, for anyone who's just joining us, we are awaiting momentarily a live press conference from the investigators in New Orleans to give us an update on what they are learning. Again, they're looking at the possibility that the incident in New Orleans and Las Vegas may be connected just because of a couple of things that, you know, sort of tie perhaps the two things together, so couple of similarities. But so about 10:15 is the latest word that we're getting, as we are expecting to hear from investigators this update. Again, it's being led by the FBI, an update about what they are learning and you know, what we're finding out about what happened here. And we're also, of course, you know, as we were mentioning today, the Sugar Bowl has been rescheduled. It'll be played at 3 o'clock. Obviously, security a big issue, and so we'll see. You know, how does that play out? Does that affect attendance today? Did fans stick it out? Did they, you know, if they had, you know, were supposed to be there yesterday and maybe planned to leave, did they stay overnight an extra night to be there for that game? I imagine a lot of them did. When we talked to Jonathan Mejia earlier, who's live there in New Orleans for us, he was talking about, while he's standing at the crime scene with the crime tape behind him, he says in front of him he could see lots of fans all wearing their sports gear, the colors of their teams. So while this is happening, you've also got all of these people in in town. They probably people who came in to celebrate New Orleans, people who came in to attend the Sugar Bowl. And of course, this is also raising a lot of questions about, we've got the upcoming inauguration, and we've got a lot of other, very public events, large public events that are going to be happening. And, what we're really going to be have to do to look at security at some of these events. One of the big alarming things that came out of the situation in New Orleans was that they say that the suspect managed to actually drive up on the sidewalk and got around barricades, and that's how he was able to go into the crowds. And they're saying there were lapses. There should have been some larger barricades, like in some instances, like they'll use large trash trucks, city trash trucks in other cities to, sort of create big, heavy things that people can't get around. But so I think there's going to be a renewed look at making these mass public events more secure. What steps need to be taken? What got missed? Because obviously we continue to see, even in other countries, we saw in Germany at the Christmas market, someone drove a vehicle into the crowd.
And we happened in Illinois during the Christmas parade there as well.
Yeah, people basically using cars as weapons, and again, loaded with explosive materials, really intending to do a lot of harm.
Yeah, we were going to say there, investigators found IEDs there in his vehicle as well, so it sounds like there could have been a bigger plan, a bigger plot there in New Orleans as well. So very bizarre, very disturbing to hear. And then as you referenced there,
we were just listening to some of the coverage from Fox 26 in Houston as we await the latest update.
Still waiting on the press conference.
New Orleans. What we'll do is take a quick 2-minute break. Stay right here with us. More to come on Live Now from Fox.
Okay, so we're still waiting. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Appreciate it. Try to cover as much as I can when we do these live streams. And we cover a lot because a lot of times, hours later, people are sending me the stuff we've already covered, and other people streaming are covering what we covered hours before. I try to get as much as I can get and squeeze it in, into the lives. So we're waiting for the press conference. Looks like they're delayed. Fort Liberty connection to New Year's attacks. No. All right. What do you guys think about this? Let me show you this. Hold on. No. Can't be. Breaking. The suspects in yesterday's attack on Bourbon Street in New Orleans and Trump Tower in Las Vegas both served at Fort Bragg, the same military base Ryan Ralph visited over 100 times before attempting to take Donald Trump's life. That was one of the assassins. He skedaddled and ran. I think that's the guy that went to... Is he the one? Mar-a-Lago, right? What in the heck is going on? Oh, that's the police chief from yesterday right there at the corner. I'm here. I'm the police chief. Shout out to the lady. Shout out to Grandma. Still waiting on the presser. No, can't be. Can't be. U.S. Capitol Police investigating suspicious vehicle. Man, it's going on. Suspicious vehicle in the Capitol? Okay, let's check it out. Hold on. It's too much. Overload.
Hey there, this is Joseph Omo with NBC4. We are right outside of the Capitol, and you see all of those flashing police lights over there.
Oh, no.
Firefighters, the ambulances. Capitol Police just tweeted out about 15 minutes ago that they are investigating a suspicious vehicle. That is all we know, but they are pushing the perimeter out. You can see officers over here closing off the walkways to 3rd Street Northwest here as they continue this investigation. We're going to keep you updated, and we're going to have a live report on News 4 at midday at 11 o'clock in about half an hour. Hey there, this is Joseph Omo with NBC4. We are right outside of the Capitol, and you see all of those flashing police lights over there, the firefighters, the ambulance.
Joseph Papp.
New York Times reporter who interviewed New Orleans terrorists 10 years ago describes him as calm and collected. He was a really nice guy.
Joseph Papp reached out to me on Twitter and said, "Did you write this story in 2015?" I said, "Sure." Why? What does it matter? He said that could be the suspect. And my head was spinning. And what little I remember about that interview was a very cool, calm, and collected guy. Like nothing about his character threw any red flags, which I think is reflective of what a lot of us are hearing while we're covering this story. I mean, just
Okay. Getting ready for the presser. See what updates they have. My God, these people are crazy. These people are crazy. You want to see this shit? I guess AI made a fight between George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. Let's see, is it Matrix? Oh my God, this is nuts. Wow. Okay. AI.
All right.
It's time.
Y'all all ready? We good? All right, well, good morning. I first want to start off by reminding the citizens of Louisiana that as you travel around the state, you will see the flags of all state buildings at half-mast in honor of those lives that were lost in this horrific act of violence. I also think that it's important to remember that what happened yesterday was akin to those who are old enough to remember jigsaw puzzles. And that you would take a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and you empty the box and you've got to start sifting through those pieces. And you want to start, if you're real good, you start at the corners, right? Try to put your corners together. And from yesterday to today, over 1,000 law enforcement agents and officers, men and women, have been poring over countless amounts of data, of videos, of surveillances, interviews, tracking down every possible lead that came to us, whether it was the New Orleans Police Department, the Louisiana State Police, the FBI, or our other federal agencies. Also yesterday, I issued an emergency declaration. That declaration was meant to streamline resources and communications between state, local, and federal partners. And we're seeing the results of it. I also would like to remind everyone that what's going on in this city and this state is twofold. We've got an active criminal investigation going on, while we're also continuing to secure the city in preparation for 3 o'clock kickoff time for the Sugar Bowl. With that, I would also remind those who are in the city that as far as state resources are concerned, we have the Louisiana State Police, the Louisiana National Guard, which was part of that emergency declaration, which allowed us to put an entire MP company on the ground. Those become force multipliers, is what we call that in law enforcement and the military. That helps to add to the resources that we have. Wildlife and Fisheries, the Department of Corrections, DSF, DHS, our Veterans Affairs, our Probation and Parole, all state agencies. Any state agency who has a post-certified officers are here in this city to help secure the city. And so with that, I would like to turn it over to Christopher Rea, who is the Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI's Terrorism Division. Chris?
Thank you, Governor Landry. Good morning. I am FBI Deputy Assistant Director Christopher Rea. I'm from our Counterterrorism Division at headquarters. I'm also joined by Assistant Special Agent in Charge Alethea Duncan from our New Orleans office, who you heard from yesterday. I'm here to discuss not only the latest investigative information we have here in New Orleans, but I'll also let you know about other investigative activities outside of the state. I first, and most importantly, want to send our deepest condolences to the victims of this horrific attack and their loved ones. 14 innocent victims were killed in this senseless attack, and at least 35 are injured. We cannot ease the grief people in this community and across the nation are feeling at this time, but rest assured, we stand with you and in support of you. All the resources, and I'm going to go into that a little bit later, all the resources of the FBI are being focused on tracking down every piece of evidence, every lead, every interview, every potential lead we've got. While I won't be able to answer all your questions today, my goal is to be as forthcoming as possible with you on what we've uncovered so far. First and foremost, let me be very clear about this point. This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act. This was obviously a critical incident, and with that, lots of information and tips come pouring in from law enforcement, first responders, and the public. We have been aggressively running down these tips and information. As you all know, that takes time, and we will continue to do so until every lead has been followed through on. This investigation is only a little more than 24 hours old. So I ask you to keep in mind that as I go through some of the specifics later. But at this point, currently, and this is another fact I want to be clear on, we do not assess at this point that anyone else involved in this attack except for Shamsud Din Jabbar, the subject you've already been briefed on. A little bit about what the FBI is doing. So we are surging people and assets to the area from across the region and across the nation. Special agents in multiple field offices across the country have been deployed and are assisting with potential aspects of this investigation and following up on every lead. Additional teams of special agents, professional staff, and victim specialists continue to arrive to provide more investigative power and assistance to the victims and their families. We've also forward deployed a number of our critical incident response group assets, including members of our hostage rescue team, special agent bomb technicians, and crisis management coordinators. In addition, we have deployed more evidence response technicians to continue to process the various scenes that we have. So far, we have received just over 400 tips from the public, and that information is being followed up on both here in New Orleans and across the country. Some of the tips are here in New Orleans, and there are other tips in other states across the country that we are following up on. The FBI team and our law enforcement partners here are also reviewing hundreds of hours of surveillance and other video from both the French Quarter and other locations. As for a timeline, At this point, investigators believe Jabbar picked up the rented F-150 in Houston, Texas on December 30th. He then drove from Houston to New Orleans on the evening of the 31st, and he posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS.
Wow.
There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m. In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote. Additionally, he stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. He also provided a will and testament. FBI and ATF. FBI. We have a couple different scenes at the location. We have released the scene at Bourbon Street. That scene has been released. We also have a scene off of Mandeville address where we're currently searching that scene right now. FBI and ATF agents have secured that house, and that location is being searched for potential evidence. On New Year's morning, Jabbar opened fire after ramming through a blocked-off area of Bourbon Street, used his truck as a weapon to run over the victims. Teams of specially trained victim specialists, again, as I said, are on the ground here in New Orleans, assisting survivors of the attack and loved ones of the deceased. We do not believe the public is in any danger around any of these locations. 3 phones linked to Jabbar have been recovered, and digital media exploitation is a priority to see what is on the devices and determine if there are any other potential leads. Additionally, we have recovered 2 laptops and are currently reviewing them for any potential leads. Those laptops were recovered at the Mandeville address. Evidence technicians will also be going over the F-150 truck Jabbar was driving. As you know, we recovered an ISIS flag from the back of the vehicle. Jabbar declared his support for the terrorist group on social media, as I stated before, as he made his way to New Orleans. FBI bomb technicians also recovered 2 IEDs in coolers, one from the cross-section of Bourbon and Orleans Street, and the second at an intersection approximately 2 blocks away. There were multiple reports of other devices. Those reports turned out to be misinformation or not actual functioning devices. Those are the only 2 devices that we've been able to recover that were functional. Both devices were rendered safe on scene. We did obtain surveillance footage showing Jabbar placing the devices where they were found. 2 other, as I said before, 2 other items of interest were determined not to be IEDs. A little bit about Jabbar. Jabbar himself was born in the United States and is a U.S. military veteran. We are looking in everything in his life. While we have interviewed many people who know Jabbar, we still need to talk to others. Whether you know Jabbar personally, worked with him, served in the military, or saw him in New Orleans or Texas, we need to talk to you. You may not think you have relevant information, but what you know could tie in to one of our investigative leads. Specifically, we want to talk to anyone who was in the French Quarter on New Year's Eve or early on New Year's Day. That includes people spotted near one of the 2 IEDs on Bourbon Street. The IED was inside a cooler, and many people stopped and looked at the cooler and then continued on their way. Let's be clear, again, we do not believe at this point these people are involved in this incident in any way. We want to speak to them as witnesses and want to know what they saw and when. I went down to the crime scene last night. It is very hard to put into words what it looked like and how difficult it was to see. Anyone with information can call us at 1-800-CALL-FBI or send digital tips to fbi.gov/Bourbon Street attack. Early this morning, evidence response teams finished their work at the crime scene. Bourbon Street has been turned over to the city of New Orleans. As you know, there's also an FBI investigation in Las Vegas. We are following up on all potential leads and not ruling everything out. However, at this point, there is no definitive link between the attack here in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas. And again, I'll preface, as I close, I'll preface everything with what I started with in the beginning, which was this is very early in an investigation like this. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with the victims of this tragedy and everyone impacted across the country. They remain at the heart of our investigation. I also, although I've only been on the ground here a short time, I also want to express a sincere appreciation for our partners here, which include the U.S. Attorney's Office, HSI, ATF, the New Orleans PD, the Louisiana State Police, the Governor's Office, and countless others. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to the Special Agent in charge of ATF here, Josh Jackson.
Hey, good afternoon. As stated, my name is Joshua Jackson. I am the Special Agent in charge for the ATF New Orleans Field Division. And ATF's primary mission is preventing, reducing, and solving violent crime throughout the United States and abroad. Solving part is the focus of this investigation. ATF resources that have been brought to bear to the city and to focus with our federal, state, and local partners have been our national response team. We spoke about the scene that's still being processed now. The National Response Team of ATF is a team of certified fire investigators, certified explosive specialists, fire engineers, electrical engineers. These folks will give us additional investigative leads to help the investigative team identify what happened at the location in Mandeville and identify how that fire started and move the investigation forward from there. Additional resources that ATF has brought to bear into the city. As our ATF Special Response Team, this is a tactical team capable of handling any sort of enforcement operation. This team is deployed, on set, and ready for the Sugar Bowl today. This team is also made available to the Louisiana State Police and also New Orleans Police Department to assist with any efforts that they may have during this period. Additional resources, as the governor alluded to, he executed executive powers and had an emergency declared to where ATF was able to tap in to Emergency Support Function 13 resources. This allowed us to bring additional explosive detection canines so that we can safely sweep the city and safely sweep the Super Bowl in preparation for the game today. These resources will still be in the city as we lead up to the Super Bowl and through Mardi Gras. These type of ATF resources will be here. The last resources the ATF has brought to bear, and probably the most important one, is our victim witness coordinators. These folks come in and they provide resources to the victims and the family members that have suffered greatly during this tragedy. The entire city hurts, but the victims and the family members are in need of resources and care long after this investigation wraps up. This time next year to be hard for the families and friends who suffered during this event. So our victim witness coordinators are working with the FBI, the City of New Orleans coordinators to provide resources to these folks out here. And as we move forward, ATF will be committed. We will work with the investigative team moving this investigation forward, but also we'll be here to make sure the city is safe and prepared as we move into the Super Bowl. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our mayor of this great city, New Orleans. Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much.
Mayor.
Well, good morning once again. And I just want to just echo my thank yous to the unified command of our law enforcement partners and at every single level, federal, state, and governor. Governor, thank you for your partnership. Yeah, thank you. I also want to thank the residents and the visitors of the city of New Orleans for your patience, for your support, and most of all, your prayers. Our hearts and prayers continue to go out to the victims' families. And the city of New Orleans, we're resilient. And as I stated on yesterday, my focus in terms of a priority has been on our victims. As you heard, that yes, the FBI was able to clear Bourbon Street. And what that meant also for me in this city was that we were able to remove our victims, identify them, and notify their families. Real reverence. They mattered, the families matter, and matter to the city of New Orleans. In addition to that, I want to just thank again our federal partners in Washington, listening to my plea personally for the additional resources to allow for the scene to be cleared, and again, attending to our victims. I walked by each one, and I did the sign of cross in my own way, because reverence, again, is important. So while we have been able to have Bourbon Street returned back to the city of New Orleans, and the due diligence has been done, that then allowed me to give the go-ahead to begin the cleaning of Bourbon Street. That started happening in the morning about 2 a.m. It was completed before 8 a.m. this morning. But that has really set the tone, I would say, and with the confidence that I have in the law enforcement partners, all of the resources that have been activated, how we have made sure that safety continues to be our top priority, how our assets have been deployed strategically, again, for the safety and the protection of our visitors and our residents in the city. And because of that, the confidence is there to reopen Bourbon Street to the public prior to game time today. The first order will be to allow for vendors to come in and service the businesses. That's important in order for us to stand up activation, as you know, Governor. And so with that, I want to reassure the public that the city of New Orleans is not only ready for game day today, but we're ready to continue to host large-scale events in our city because we are built to host at every single turn. I want to, again, thank all of those who responded to the FBI's call for information and tips. As you heard, that has been useful. Continue to do that. The investigation is still active and absolutely under the FBI's leadership. We will continue to operate and cooperate as we always have. So I want to also thank all of our partners for the added resources for victim and crisis management. We know that that's, again, important. Working with our partner, the Greater New Orleans Foundation, we have set up a fund for our victims' families for not only today but into the future. As you heard, this is going to be a long process for our people. So with that, the city of New Orleans, and with all of my confidence, we are ready. And we could not get here, again, without the unified presence, support, and cooperation. We are stronger together. And I want to say again, thank you so much. Thank you, Governor.
Good. Stand together.
So once again, the governor would like me to reiterate that Bourbon Street will be prepared for full activation before game time today. We know 3 p.m., so we're working towards 2:30 p.m. But prior to game time, the kickoff, Bourbon Street will be restored. So we're hard at work now. Our teams are now, and of course, working with our business community to serve our public and serve our residents and our visitors alike.
In closing, I want to
take questions.
Rest people assured. Right now in the city of New Orleans, there is an unprecedented amount of law enforcement resources that are being utilized to close out and to hunt down and to finalize this investigation. I want to thank the FBI and all of our federal partners for the amount of resources they have poured into the city. This type of event can happen in any city. And that's the tragedy of it. And I think it's important for people to understand that to protect our citizens in America from evil, you have to crush it. You can't go out there and placate it. You can't go out there and say, oh, I'm going to put this in place and that in place and hope that evil doesn't show up on your doorstep, because it will. You have to crush it. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to put it all behind us. We're going to continue to keep the victims, those that are in the hospital, either fighting for their lives or trying to recover, in our thoughts and in our prayers. But you know, this morning, and I don't want to single out just one news source, but I just happened to turn on Fox and Friends, and there was a young man who was interviewed, who was actually on Bourbon Street during this horrific act of terrorism. And they closed out by asking him, what now? And I think he summed it up. He said, look, we can't live in fear, because fear will paralyze us. He said, we come down to the city to enjoy ourselves and to entertain ourselves and to be with our friends and with our families, because that's who we are. Louisiana invented hospitality.
What?
The people in this city care for each other. And believe you me, we care about each one of the lives that were lost in this city and that. We will never forget them. But it would be a tragedy if we let their losses be snuffed out because of fear. This city will be back. We will be open to family and friends and loved ones who want some time to relax from the pressures of life. And so today, we're going to have us a sugar bowl.
Sugar bowl. That's the most important thing to these people. Forget about the deaths, the murders, everything, rape.
Again,
the sugar bowl's happening.
Who have lost loved ones in mind, and we're going to get on to the business of this city and this great country.
We got to do the sugar bowl.
Governor, this is for you and the assistant director. The message has really changed since yesterday. Yesterday, the FBI said that people should be vigilant, that he did not act alone, that he likely had help. And now you're coming out the very next day and saying he was a lone wolf.
Exactly.
Safe, the game
Exactly.
was on. Everybody had a good time. How
So
can
true.
you be so sure just 12 hours later?
Well, we're going to bring him up. All right, but here's what I want. I want to remind everyone, like I was a deputy sheriff. All right, I worked in a jail. I worked on the street. I worked on the interstate. I served warrants. I can tell you. Look, in today's world, I get it. Information, we get information like that. Everybody lives in a 15-second TikTok video. We think that life operates like it does on our phones, and it just doesn't. Information changes. In fact, that's why we ask the media for patience. We get information, like I said, putting that, no one dumps 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and puts it together in 5 seconds. Okay? And what I would tell you is that I appreciate the fact that what we did was we're under-promising and over-delivering today. And I think that's important. And I want to remind something. Look, because over the last decade, law enforcement has taken it on the chin, unfairly.
Oh, okay, snap.
And there are great men and women serving in the FBI, in ATF, in Louisiana State Police, in New Orleans PD. Our sheriffs have been unbelievable in this. And I tell you, they want to protect you all. And we have to trust them. And sometimes the information we put out, we end up finding out that it may be incorrect. But guess what? What we're doing here is something that I think is important. It's called transparency. And look, something may change again. Here's what I do know, though. Right now, this is one of the safest places on earth.
What?
That doesn't mean that nothing can't happen.
Safest place on earth.
Thank you, Governor. And to echo exactly, I think the governor put it eloquently as Khabib said. In a lot of these instances, I also had the opportunity to deploy to Boss Bomb, and I will tell you this is almost carbon copy to Boss Bomb as far as the inaccurate reporting that comes up. And what the governor said is we want to be transparent with the public. Years of the FBI not being transparent, we're being as transparent as we possibly can. And unfortunately, as we're being transparent, unfortunately for that, there is some information that we have to go back and recorrect. And in this particular incident, you heard the resources that we brought, that the other state and locals have brought. We've had 24 hours now to go through media, to go through phones, to interview people, to analyze those videos, analyze other databases. And after all of that, there's been hundreds and hundreds of leads done just in 24 hours. We're confident at this point that there is no accomplices. And I'll give you an idea of
you guys just said there was 4 people potentially involved.
A lot of the early reports came out that there were extra people that were setting the coolers down, right? It turns out those were just patrons on the street that were looking inside the coolers, right? Well, we didn't know that at first. We had to kind of track all that down and put that to rest. So that's just an example, one of the pieces of information, but there were other pieces of information that after we got our feet under us a little bit and on the ground here, we were able to put together a much more accurate picture of the subject and his attention.
Deputy Director, a couple things.
I'll say the death toll. We just wanted to double check.
the death
toll. 14, not 15. Sorry.
14, and then the shooter himself would be 15 total, to include the shooter.
And to clarify a couple things, the IEDs, were the IEDs pipe bombs, and have you discovered a remote detonator anywhere? And when you said that you have surveillance footage of the suspect planting those IEDs, what time roughly were they planted?
Yeah, those roughly a couple hours. I don't have the exact times in front of me. A couple hours prior to the attack.
Before midnight, after you know?
Probably after midnight. I want to say 1 or 2 in the morning.
So
but
he left the area and came back.
Correct. That's our assumption now. I mean, we still have a lot to work through. We're getting more surveillance video and everything else, but that's the assumption.
And were there sweeps being done? Were there sweeps being done on Bourbon Street? Would there have been canines out on New Year's Eve? Would there have been bomb sweeps done as part of the regular precautions?
Let me just say this, and either Joe or Rob will correct me. Look, a bomb dog doesn't operate like a drug dog, right? On Bourbon Street, there's a lot of senses, right? A lot of smells. I don't think you can run a bomb dog down Bourbon Street with thousands of people there and be able to sniff out a bomb. What we've been doing, what they have been doing, is certainly a complete sweep of the quarter because of the limited amount of traffic that's been out there. Let me just say this. I think this may help. It would be my hope that as some additional time goes through, maybe closer to maybe the beginning of next week, we will, if we've got it to what extent buttoned up as we could, I would work with the FBI and the city, and maybe we can come up with a timeline to be able to get you those information, kind of walk everyone through from day one through. I think it's extremely premature, and you're really putting us on some speculative grounds to ask some of those questions, because again, it's only been 24 hours. I mean, can you imagine how far we've come in 24 hours? So
can you just clarify if there was pipe bombs and a remote detonator? Sure.
One at a time.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye.
New Year's Eve. Are temporary bollards being brought in to block off the street, and why weren't those used on New Year's Eve?
Right. Well, look, here's what I'm going to say. Every time some bad guy does something like this, there's what we call an after-action review. Because again, nothing is 100%. We have reinforced the area. We have deployed some additional types of assets. I personally think to the city or other, I don't like to give specifics because I don't like to tell the enemy what we got. But I can tell you we're in better shape than we were before.
Director Rea, excuse me, what brought him down this road?
Can we speak to the Mandeville scene? And some neighbors at that site told us they smelled smoke early in the morning. Was there a fire there? Any kind of burning happening?
Yeah, great.
Do you still believe that fire happened after the suspect was killed?
That's correct. Yeah, I'll move to AT. I do want to address the suicide vest question. I want to kill that one right away. Okay. There was no evidence that the subject was wearing a suicide vest at all. So I will turn the Mandeville stuff over to ATF.
Yeah, as to the fire at the Mandeville scene. So our working theory now is that the fire started after Jabbar was already deceased. There's a lot of different ways that could happen. You could have different time devices. You could have a long cord that extended that time. You could also have pressure cookers that were put on top of the stove filled with gasoline, and then it went off. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but that is why our ATF National Response Team is here to answer those questions and get that investigative lead back to our team. So more to come on that. We're still processing that scene. We're out there right now.
What do we understand about how he became radicalized over all of this time? What brought him to Bourbon Street? Do we understand, was there any international travel involved? What led him down this path to this sort of radicalization?
Sure, a lot of questions we're still asking ourselves. We know that he specifically picked out Bourbon Street. Not quite sure why. I mean, I think one can assume that it was lots of people New Year's Eve, with a target for an attack. That's the stuff in the coming days, as far as that path to radicalization, that we're really going to be digging into and making a priority of. So what I can tell you right now is that he was 100% inspired by ISIS, and so we're digging through more of the social media, more interviews, working with some of our other partners to ascertain just how to ascertain a little bit more about that connection.
Mayor, what gives you the confidence?
We're gonna do one more. Kate,
one more. We got to cut him off.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's actually for Special Agent Red. Sir,
I prefer those. I'm
in order to reassure people, would you be able to explain the analysis and evidence that has led to this most recent understanding that he was a lone actor and that there is, at this point, at least from your understanding, no further danger to the public?
Sure. I think a lot of that, multiple interviews, the hundreds of interviews that we've conducted so far, the social media review that we've done of his accounts, by my count now, the 5 devices we have, the 3 cell phones and the 2 laptops, been able to initially triage or go through that, and there is just nothing to indicate through call records, through anything on those devices, through interviews, through anything in our systems, that he was aided in this attack by anybody. And again, I have to caveat, like the governor said, it's just 24 hours into it. And that could change, but right now we've got a much better picture and much more confidence on what we were dealing with than we were just 20
Mayor, what gives you the confidence?
Thank y'all so very much. Again,
Mayor, what gives you the confidence
again, we are going to try to get y'all as much information as possible. So any additional information will be put out through press releases. Thank you so very much.
Mayor.
Man, they just cut him.
No, you good? No, I'm good. Yeah. I'm giving it to that.
On the stand or not?
All right, everyone, I just want to give you a...
Got it.
Yes, I got it. You want it or not?
All right. What do you guys think? Now, let me show you something else. Hold on. We're gonna get off in a little bit, but hold on. Let me just show you something else.
We have barely made it into 2025, and there are already reports of a mass casualty event in New Orleans that is being investigated as a terrorist attack. A man drove his pickup truck through a crowd of New Year's Eve celebrators, killing 10 and injuring up to 35 more. He then exited the vehicle with an assault rifle and opened fire on police officers. Allegedly, there was also one explosive device found. Now, if you're someone who looks like me, one of the first thoughts that you have after the shock and horror at the deaths of the victims, one of your first thoughts is, please don't let this be one of us. Let this be a Jim or a Bob or even a Tyler. But the identity of the assailant has just been released, and police are investigating possible ISIS connections. The suspect has been identified as 42-year-old Shamsud Jabbar. Not much is known about him other than he is allegedly a Texas native. Police are currently looking into his travel history to determine if there are any connections to ISIS. But it just seems odd to hear about an ISIS attack in 2025 when they have been nearly wiped out. Additionally, it's been reported that among the injured were 2 Israeli nationals. And the implication of these 2 pieces of information alone is terrifying. And I'm really worried that we're going to see this event used as justification for increased U.S. presence in Syria under the guise of protecting U.S. and Israeli foreign interests.
I sent this to folks. I sent this thing, a video of the CyberTruck shooter, I think. Here, CyberTruck.
Up midnight, posted up midnight red eye flight. Sarah Beams, no Matty B.
Trying not to be weird.
Not to be weird.
Not allowed to be weird or embarrass him. They can't do that.
We're judging people in front of the walking thing where you can choose to walk, you can choose to stand still, you can choose to
pick a side, people. Pick a side.
You can walk aside it if you want some exercise and just be devoid of technology. If you
Okay. Jennifer, I did see your DM. I know this is random, but hell, I knew this lady reminded me of a cartoon character. I finally figured it out. Paw Patrol. Hold on, let me save it. The police chief. They're on the case. Well, one of the things, I'll just say this before we get off. I think it's interesting now they're saying nobody's involved. They don't think anybody else is involved. When yesterday they were telling us, there might be 4 people that placed bombs. 3, including some other lady, 4 involved. And somebody got arrested outside of this guy's house. And now they're saying he acted alone. What? What? FBI now says they don't believe anyone except Shamsud Jabbar is involved in a New Orleans attack. Big change since yesterday. But they was just telling us 4 people plus was planning bombs. Now I guess they changed it. What? I don't get it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. I'm going to jump off for now for a little bit. I got a couple things to do. I'll set up these devices, but we'll talk. All right. Love you guys. Take care. Peace. Thank you so much. Hit like, subscribe. I'll catch you later.